Hello and welcome to Hibs Talk. I'm your host as always, Gavin. Joining me today is Dave.
Alright.
And Stephen's not here today, but we do have the other Stephen. We've got Murray, also known as Murray Minter 75.
Alright guys.
And we've also got Craig joining us on the line as well. How you doing, Craig?
Been better, mate. Been much better.
So obviously the reasons Craig's not doing that great is because of the result yesterday, and we'll get straight into stuff. We'll not bother with news today. There's only really one news topic, with Lennon. But before we get into Lennon, I just wanted to quickly talk about the march up to Tynecastle. Dave, that's your and mine's first experience of it since I started it.
Yep.
Craig, what was your thoughts? That I know you were quite close to the front.
I was in the one at the Christmas derby as well, which was some experience. But that one last night, I mean, even in the Murrayfield Hotel before it, I'm not going to call the guy out because I didn't want him to be bombarded with requests. But the Canberry song was going quite a lot, and this guy was capable of doing the high pitched part. You imagine the high pitched part in the jungle song.
Yeah, I heard that in the stand.
Aye, I did hear somebody give it a good go.
Aye, and I was buckled because I tried it and then got absolutely nowhere near it. But
honestly, I managed to get a video of it in the Murrayfield, and the boy was if he's got a voice today, I will be very surprised because every time you thought the song was dying down, they kept going up again. I could just imagine him being like, "Oh no, here we go again." But no, it was that was quite funny. But no, that part under the bridge was just it was unreal. I was like literally right next to the boy who set off like the red flare.
Aye.
And I honestly thought I'd been blinded because it just came out of nowhere. And there was ash everywhere. I was eating it. I was clearing it out my eyes. And it was, again, when you look in hindsight to the game, you know, that was, everybody was pumped for that. The roar when everybody came out for under the bridge, because that's obviously where it got gone big time, was under the bridge. Come out the bridge and it was just that big massive roar and everybody was really up for it. But no, it's certainly an experience, and it's something that I hope they continue to do, especially for games at Tynecastle, because it's just something else.
it's definitely the way to go to a football match.
It looked brilliant for what I've seen on Facebook, it has to be said.
And even once inside Tynecastle, the bit where you get the pies and all that and the toilets and stuff, for about, like, it must have been about 7 or 8 minutes, just the same song, just on repeat, and just everybody was just bouncing. It was absolutely brilliant. I bumped into the guys that used to sit in front of me years ago when I sat in the famous Five, and I went over and bumped into them and chatted to them and started jumping about with them, and the dad of that group was sort of saying, we should do this again on Sunday. We should do this every home game. It's absolutely brilliant. So, but before we get to the game, let's obviously jump into all the stuff about Lennon. Alright, so I mean, Lennon's came out and said, we look like we're going to finish 4th, which is unacceptable for me. I will reconsider my position now in the summer. I've got things to think about myself, my personal aims and ambitions, but I can't watch that in a derby. That's not good enough. We have a board meeting next week, so we'll see how it goes. I have been here for 2 years and made great strides, but I've got to think about myself sometimes as well and how I feel about the whole thing. Maybe I'm a bit over emotional at the moment, but 4th is not good enough. So, Murray, starting your way yourself, is Lennon right? Is 4th unacceptable for our first season back in the Premier League?
Well, see, I don't know, because I think fourth back, first season back in the top flight. To me, if you'd offered me that at the start of the season, I would have bit your handle for it. You know, to be in the mix for second right up until the second last game of the season, I thought that's, to me, is pretty decent. For me, where Lennon's going in this, I think there's a fine line between irrationality and emotion, and maybe he is a bit on the emotional side. Maybe he thought the players were going to back him up a wee bit more. Maybe he did feel that the players didn't listen to him, but I don't know. I don't know if he's right. I don't know if he's right or wrong in this sense. I think that he's probably a wee bit more over emotion, because I don't know if any of you have seen the clip that's been floating about on Twitter, but there's a clip of him walking across the pitch, and obviously he's going to the dressing room, he's taking dog's abuse for the Hearts supporters, and he's got his hands up, and you can clearly see him saying he's 17, you know, and then he's stamping the badge. Now, how can you go for that to then saying, well, I need to think about myself now?
Aye.
To me, it's complete mixed messages, and I don't know. I don't know where we're going to go with it, to be honest.
Craig, what do you think? Do you agree with Murray there that emotions kind of playing a part in that message, or do you think there's something else to it?
I think it's a mixture of both, to be honest. I think we all know that Lennon's a winner. Who doesn't really settle for. I think obviously in this league we have to settle for being second best because you can't get near Celtic. But I also think that his comments were a very. I mean, you look at he mentioned obviously about the board meeting. He said something about this season's budget, and he also said something about next season's budget. He also publicly called out Dylan for leaving, which I think was not the correct way to introduce that. But I think he's trying to dig out the board, and he's trying to tell the supporters that he's trying to get more for the board. You look at last week he was talking about how it's been a brilliant season. How the players have been fantastic. Yeah, last night he's saying about they can't listen to him or they're not listening to him, so maybe somebody else should come in who they will listen to. So I don't know if we find ourselves in a position where there's going to have to be a massive rebuild of the squad in the summer. The midfield is going to be, you look at that midfield that midfield five who started last night. Only Whittaker and Boyle are likely going to be here next season. The two up front, McLaren gets called up to the World Cup. The actual World Cup squad, mere suitors for him. And also Canberry's done really well since he's came in, so there'll be more suitors looking at him. So I don't know. I'm sort of on the. He is quite an emotional guy. He does tend to react in the heat of the moment. Like Murray was just saying, I've seen the video of him walking across the pitch, then flashing his hands, mouthing 17, pumping the badge. How do you go for that 15, 20 minutes later to go in? Oh, I'm considering my future. I think he's just trying to force the board's hand a wee bit by saying, look, this is what we've done in our first season up. Give me the money so we can go and better ourselves next season. Whereas I actually think if we'd have finished second or third, I think that would have given him more of an impetus to walk, because then he could go, well, where do I go for here? Whereas
True.
Next season, finishing fourth, would I have taken it at the start of the season? You're bloody right I would. It's to still be even be fighting for second place with an Aberdeen team that's been settled in the top flight for so many years. We know that Rangers are a bit of a basket case, but they've got the money where they should be light years ahead of us and Aberdeen, and they're not. So, it's something that I think the board need to take seriously, because I think Lennon's the kind of guy who'll no mince his words. If he doesn't get the backing for the board that he feels that he needs, then he'll go.
Dave, Craig just mentioned the contrast there, and Lennon speaking about the players last week compared to this week. So, I mean, what's your thoughts on him having such a critical go at the players?
Well, Neil Lennon, even quite a lot of people don't like him. That comes from before, like as a player, as a manager at Celtic, and that there's a lot of people don't like him because of the way he is, and that comes across because he is quite an emotional guy. But at times he does look, and it's my opinion, the way he acts is just not acceptable. He was like that as a player and manager at Celtic. That last night, the only thing that I take good to what he said was that that's unacceptable in a derby. Because I didn't want to be going to watch that. We turned into them last night, the way we were hoofing the ball up the park. And I don't think that was an acceptable performance. And I think coming out and saying that's fine. But the way he chucked Dylan under the bus, completely. And then the way he acted, and if it is a point to get more money for the board, I think it's childish. And what I think it has done is it's made, I know personally it's made my day harder at work. That sounds stupid, but I've been getting ripped all about Lennon, and I didn't need that, because I'm already gutted about the game, and he's just added something else for everybody else to jump on, and it just, I was just not impressed at all.
Aye. Something else Craig sort of said there was some other comments he sort of said about the spine of the team leaving it, about surgery and done, about John potentially leaving, Dylan McGeoch definitely leaving, and all that sort of stuff. So just to kind of, while we're talking about Dylan McGeoch there, I know this is a bit of a weird segue, but Paul Hanlon's testimonial has been announced that it will be Tony Mowbray's Blackburn on the 8th of July. Good chance Dylan could be playing against us.
Tell you what, if Lennon's still the manager, going by last night, you'd probably bench Hanlon for it.
Aye.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, so I mean, we asked you guys for your guys' thoughts on this with Lennon, and there seems to be 3 or 4 kind of main trains of thought. We've kind of got the it's boardroom tactics that, you know, and a lot of fans coming out and saying, you know, back him so he doesn't go. Some people thinking that he's gone and he's already made his mind up, and other people saying that he's thinking about it or it was just the emotions kind of talking. And finally, we've kind of got people also saying that no man's bigger than the club and he shouldn't be talking that way. Neil McGregor's put on Facebook about that in terms of no one being bigger than the club. There's no denying that Neil is important, but Dempster's only a staff member we can't afford to lose. I understand Neil's reaction at the game, but it's inappropriate to bring up his future and budget straight after such a bad defeat. I know a lot of people think it's strategic, but it feels that it was just from the heart.
But what he says there's spot on though.
Yeah.
About the whole, like, you've already got enough on your plate. You've just fucking lost to Derby. You've lost second place. That's you finishing 4th, and he's come out with that about his future team. It's just like, how many things do you want to hit you at one time? Like,
in terms of it being a boardroom tactic, we've got James Lunsden on Twitter saying very clearly just a warning to the board. Exuberant Petrie kind of saying Roddy P will be getting him telt very soon after the effects of yesterday's gin intakes wear off. Who else have we got here? We've got Base72 also sort of saying, nah, just a message to the board to give him the support he needs for next season. He's savvy. Hibs have been good to him and he knows it. I mean, Rafa Benitez is getting talked a lot about doing this with Newcastle, trying to get funds for next season. Murray, do you think this is sort of... Do you think that could be what it's down to?
I think, to be honest, the way that it's panning out from a boardroom level, I do agree with what the boys said there about having Leanne Dempster on board. I think she's been absolutely fantastic for the club in terms of the recruitment of managers, recruitment of players, and just actually bringing the club back to the fans, really, because the way that it was under Rod Petrie and Terry Butcher and everything like that, you know, it wasn't a great place to be. But in a lot of ways, I mean, I don't know what the budget's like at Hibs. I've not got any idea what the budget's like, but I know that there's a lot of guys that are in that team that are on no bad wages, considering that it's our first season back as a promoted team. So I don't know. I think it is boardroom tactics, to be honest. You know, as you say, they are talking about Rafa Benitez at Newcastle. You know, Rafa's savvy as well. You know, again, being a Liverpool supporter as well as Hibs, you know, I've seen Rafa Benitez's teams play decent football, and again, yeah, I know the budgets are completely different, but Rafa always wanted more, and I think Lenny's the same. He always wants more. As he says there, you know, 4th is not good enough, right? Now, ask any supporter, would you take 4th spot back, you know, first season back? As boy said there, would have bit your hand off. But then to go and then say it's not acceptable, it shows how far we've come as a club to say that is not what we want. We want to be pushing higher up. So again, I would say it's boardroom tactics, and I do agree that Lenny's a savvy guy, to be honest.
I think he doesn't like losing.
Yeah.
But neither so
completely.
the whole 4th place thing, like, I would have took it at the start of the season, but see, before the Aberdeen game, if you were like, are you going to finish 4th, I'd be disappointed with that.
Yeah, completely.
So I now feel disappointed because we got ourselves into a position that we could have done something. It could have been our best chance at finishing 2nd, because I think Rangers will strengthen, Celtic will pull away. I'll be honest, pessimistic it sounds, I think that was our chance. So I am disappointed. I wouldn't go as far as to say it's unacceptable, but just because we've had a great season doesn't mean we can't be disappointed at the last couple of performances and come out and be like, but we've had a great season. That's what I think Lennon's trying to get to. It's like that's what he probably sees as unacceptable, the fact that we didn't rise to the challenge when we'd done so well to get into that position and then let it slip.
You mentioned he just hates losing there. At West Pilton on Twitter has also sort of said he's going nowhere. He just hates losing. M_DWO official, who actually bumped into last night in the tent, said he's an extremely passionate guy when it comes to managing. In the cold light of day, he'll probably realise he shouldn't have said it, and the way he did. No be the first time he's said/done something, then a few days later admitted it was in the heat of the moment. So we'll wait and see what happens with that. Moving on to the actual game itself, before we get into the actual action points of the game, just going around everybody, tactics, team formation, right or wrong? Dave?
I was surprised when the team got announced and it wasn't two up front. I was like, why are we changing something that we've done, like, and it's worked since January? Like, it was bizarre. It seemed bizarre to me, but every decision, like weird decision that Lennon's made, is kind of pulled off. So I was like, all right, okay, we'll see what happens. And I'd had a few pints, so I was quite happy with whatever happened, like whatever the team was.
Craig?
Wrong. Completely wrong.
Aye.
Going with two wingers on the tightest pitch in the league. For me, that was the first thing that I noticed. Not even the fact that he dropped McLaren, was the fact that he was going with two wingers on the tightest pitch in the league. I thought that was a bad decision to make. And that's obviously that's the first one, because then it gets to the stage where obviously Boyle gets injured and we've nobody to replace him with, so we have to actually revert to playing with five in midfield with one winger, which just did not make sense at all.
Aye, Whittaker's not got pace at the best of times, never mind
No,
try to play
exactly.
wing back. Aye. Murray, your thoughts?
I would go with that as well. I was really shocked that he dropped McLaren. But as has been said, bearing in mind that, you know, since January, you know, these guys had started, I think, 10 or 11 games between the two of them, Flo and McLaren, and they hadn't been on the losing side. McLaren gets dropped and we get beat. You know, I think that it's completely wrong. As Craig said, there are two wingers on the tightest pitch in the league. It's baffling, and I didn't understand it. I still don't, to be honest. But no, I think everything about last night was wrong, to be honest.
Okay, so we're going to go through the game. I mean, started with obviously Hearts playing lots of long balls. Played a long ball. Hibs managed to win it, but felt Cochrane, who then found Lafferty, and to be fair, I'm done quite well, and found Naismith. And Naismith went down in the box after coming into contact with Effie. Murray, you had the benefit of seeing it on the telly. Was that a penalty?
Completely.
Yeah.
Complete stonewall penalty. My first initial reaction after watching it, I thought that's straight away it was a PK. Seeing I watched the replay about 6 or 7 times, and every time I thought, you know, it's a penalty, but I can understand why the referee didn't give it.
Surprising considering it was Craig Thompson. Aye.
You're not meant to say stuff like that. You're meant to say it was a dive. Never a pen.
Okay, so next bit was fair to say Naismith passes it to Lewis Stevenson, and Lewis Stevenson then just loses the ball to Lafferty, who comes in from behind him, and Lafferty scores. I mean, Dave, is there any sticking up for Stevenson with a goal?
No, not at all, but it's a good time for him to pick, to not to have his solid game. He's like a 7 or 8 every single week, and then he picks our most important game of the season to have a stinker.
I'm not going to lie, I thought the fact that Lewis Stevenson is such an experienced player, and for him to go to switch off at that vital moment, I thought was none short of criminal, to be honest.
Just Peter fit through it.
Exactly. That's all you had. More and more I've seen it. Just put your foot through it, get it in the stand. It didn't have to be pretty, but
Craig, you've already touched on this, but I mean, after a couple of chances for Barker and then Cochrane, who probably should have scored, Boyle taken off with injury. How big an impact did that kind of have in the rest of the game, and how big an impact do you think that'll have in the upcoming game against Rangers?
I thought during the game, I didn't think Boyle fancied it, to be honest. I think it was more disappointing that there wasn't that alternative out ball for Barker, because with the first sort of 15-20 minutes, Barker was running at that Smith for fun. Kind of spoken to folk today at work who were like, and they had the fear because he was just running at them. And they thought it was going to be, that's where our joy was going to come from. But the Rangers game, I think everybody's in a pretty deflated mood about that now, to be honest. I know that we require a 6-goal swing, which it's not impossible, but kind of, I don't think we've ever beaten Rangers 6-0 in my lifetime. Never mind, the chances of us doing it on Sunday when they've actually still got something to play for. So I mean, I'd use Sunday as a chance to let players like Fraser Murray, Ollie Shaw, and Ben Still in for the development team, get Porteous in there, because I think last night, talking about Porteous, I think last night we seen maybe McGregor's age and his injury history starting to catch up on him, because he did not seem, he wasn't at his best.
He wasn't comfortable at all the whole game.
Him, Hanlon and Stevenson chose all of them chose last night to have their worst performance in a very, very long time. And you can maybe get away with one of them, but you can't get away with 3 of them. And Marciano in goals as well. His kicking was nothing short of abysmal.
It's like he does that
at times.
Every game. Like you very rarely got a game where he doesn't put the ball at the park, and then you see him coming out at half time, and like obviously comes out at half time quite a lot, and then like you see him practicing his kicking, and it's just absolutely. I was going to say beggar's belief, but I don't like that saying anymore.
I think it's I think the game plan last night was obviously Ken Hart's. When you've got somebody like Berra at the back, they're not going to try and play it out. Berra's job is to hit Lafferty, and that's something that they've done well. Our role was clearly, if we were playing long, just get Canberra in front of Berra to try and mess him up, and then the midfield can maybe pick up the second balls that are coming back. But every time Marciano went to kick it, he was either aiming it out the park, what it seemed, or he was aiming it for Barker. Now, Barker going up for a header against Aaron Hughes or Berra, it's not, and it's something that Hibs managers have done for years. You go all the way back to like Riordan and all that, up against players like Webster, Presley. Further forward, Griffiths against players like Zaliukas. They're going to header it back for fun, because that's what they are, just no-nonsense defenders who just want it away for their own goal. But the midfield wasn't quick enough at picking up on those second balls.
The midfield had a stinker
the
as
midfield was anonymous. McGinn was anonymous again. For lack of a better word, he got absolutely schooled by a Bairn who couldn't even pick up the man of the match champagne after the game. That's the level that McGinn was at last night.
Aye.
But he's been like that the last few derbies.
Aye.
Yeah.
There was a change to the midfield. Obviously, we just sort of said about Boyle being injured, and McGeoch came on in his place. And soon after he came on, he kind of found Allen, who had a shot. Murray should he have looked to the middle? I mean, Canberra and Barker were in the middle, and he also had McGeoch, who made a run on the overlap. Should he have looked for one of them rather than there was a really pathetic shot in the end?
I think so. Scott Allen, he's done that since he's came back in January. I mean, he scored a couple of goals. Obviously, scored against Cully and then against Hearts just there at the last derby. But I was screaming at the telly last night because I seen McGeoch making the run, and 9 times out of 10, if Dillon gets a ball out wide, he's got to put in a good cross, because he's a good crosser of the ball. And whether Canberra would have got a header on it, got a shot, I don't know, but the shot was so tame, and I think that shot really summed up Scott Allen's night. And I completely agree with what Craig said there. John McGinn was absolutely anonymous. To me, he was a passenger the whole game. And the fact that he got marked out the game, nullified by a 17-year-old laddie, I don't know whether that's good on Harry Cochrane's part or if it's embarrassing on John McGinn's part, to be quite honest.
Aye. I don't know if McGinn's had a... I mean, we kind of talked about this after the game yesterday on the way back to the car, but I don't know if McGinn's had a good derby at Tynecastle.
No, he hasn't.
I don't think so. I mean, a wee bit, I guess, with the 2-0 and they f***ed it up. 2-2, he was alright then.
No, with the last 10 minutes.
10 minutes,
that derby, but
other than that, nah. But I'm saying that there's a lot of people that have never really performed at Tynecastle. So, next bit was in the second half, Stevenson won the ball quite well. Played it to Allen after a bit of a run, who lost it, but was straight away Stevenson picked it up and went down for the penalty. So I'll just go around these all. Dave, was that a penalty?
Yeah, I don't know, I've not seen it back. I was just happy.
Murray?
Yeah, it was a penalty.
Craig?
From my vantage point, way up in row 21, it certainly, even if it wasn't a penalty, I was still screaming for it.
Murray, you had the replays and all that.
Yeah, my first initial reaction when I was watching it was a penalty, screaming for a penalty, and I thought it was only then that I remembered Craig Thompson was the referee. I'm like, well, he's not going to get it, and I was so shocked when he did give it, and then I watched it again. I watched it about 5 or 6 times, and the guy, I'm a big believer. You can always tell by the reaction of the opposing player if he knows whether he's made the foul or not. And that boy, was it a Dowda, a Manqua, something like that? It was one of the two.
Don't know.
And he Adele, who made about
was it
fouls and still didn't get it.
Number 66.
Number 66, aye.
He
made about 66 fouls.
They got away with absolute murder the entire game and just got nothing. And then the ref has the cheek to boot Whittaker and then points in 3 different places after go, you've committed 3 fouls. Aye, gidging. Like.
Aye, but no, it was definitely a penalty. And as I say, you can tell by the boy's reaction, he knew straight away, well, he's gave the penalty away. And to be fair to Flo, he didn't do much last night, but he stuck the penalty away really well, in fairness to him.
Aye. So next up, I mean, fair to say, Lafferty was. I mean, I thought at the time when I watched the BBC highlights back before writing my notes, Lafferty dived for the free kick. Goes to like it's a delayed reaction, and I can't believe the referees fell for it.
Yeah, completely.
Fair play to Cochrane. It was a good ball in, but awful defending from Hibs, and Naismith scores to make it 2-1, and Hibs don't score after that. So it finishes 2-1. So let's move on. Let's not talk about it anymore. So I mean,
just say quickly on that. See our set pieces. I said this to you last night. See when we get a set piece like a corner or a free kick, I honestly think just to speed up the game, we're quicker just rolling it back to their keeper. Be like, go kick
we're
your
absolutely horrendous at set
so
pieces.
bad. It's a waste of time. It's a waste
completely.
of time.
I can now understand why Lennon started the short corners, because we're so bad at them.
Yeah.
Try something different.
I think the last player we had that was actually good at whipping the ball in was Liam Henderson. That was probably the only time that I can remember, apart from him and Riordan, were the only two that I think could whip a ball in without any hassle.
When we got Scott Allen in January, though, I was like, oh, there's somebody that can put in a corner. Like I was like, he's good at putting in a ball, but fucking hell, man, we're so bad.
Having McGinn on corners and these crosses just doesn't work, because he does this weird drilled backspin thing that just whip them in.
Right.
Just whip them in and see what happens.
I'll never understand how teams can play can spend a full week on a training pitch and can't have one player that gets good at taking corners. I mean, how much time could you spend kicking a ball for a corner and get work on set pieces? I don't know. Anyway, coming away for the game, is there any players that can hold their head high?
No.
I thought Barker done all right. His decision maker, his final ball was a bit poor at times, but he was always showing. There was that one where Slivka, just after Slivka came on, where he sort of broke through the midfield and screaming at him to shoot, and for some reason he passes it to Barker, and I don't think Barker was expecting the pass. But I think on reflection, he's probably one of the only ones that can hold his head up high. Dylan done well, I thought, when he came on. He really settled us down in the midfield. But apart from that, you're clutching at Canberry because he scored.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the only other real thing. He struggled up there with McLaren. I think McLaren does a lot of the, and it's weird. You think it would usually be the big man who does all the dog work, and the wee man picks up the scraps, but McLaren does a lot of the dog work for Canberry.
A lot of the running off the ball and things like that, yeah.
But again, Canberry really missed that last night. And like I said, when you've got 3 of the back 4 deciding to have their worst game of the season alongside the keeper deciding to just punt it out for a throw in every now and then, you're not going to get much of the game.
McGeoch, is his injury just the facial one, or is there
Yeah.
something else wrong with him as well?
Just the face.
Right. He should have been starting then, in my honest opinion, because see if you are that ready to come on halfway through the first half, then you're fit enough to play for the start. He would have cammed it
Bartley
in for
should
the
have
start.
started, in my opinion.
Aye, Bartley. We're obviously shoehorning Whittaker in there. Whittaker's better in front of defence than he is at like right back or wing back or that, because he's no pace, and he is
Whittaker
quite.
would have been better up beside me last night.
Aye,
anyway.
he is quite calm in the ball, but he was pish. And then see when I went down for a pish at half time, there was two guys in the toilet arguing about it, and it was like quite a weird atmosphere. It felt like just nobody was like agreeing with like what was going on, and it's like, how can
It's
the
very-
fans all see the problems, but then Lennon just like, how Whittaker finished that game? Know what I mean?
That's the issue what I've got with Lennon coming out last night and saying what he did about the players, because ultimately he's setting them up that way, and there's only so much he can do if he's insistent on playing a specific way. Now, if he's saying that the players aren't listening to him and he's setting them up that way, that should tell him that he needs to change what he's doing, because it clearly wasn't working. It's, you look at the league derby, the league derbies at Easter Road when Bartley's played, we've been dominant in the midfield. The game that Simon Murray scored, it was Bartley being in there that allowed McGinn and McGeoch to go and do what they do best. Now, obviously, you need to temper that with the fact that the Tynecastle pitch isn't as big as what we've got, so we can't be kind of spreading the ball left and right. But you still need to, if you're going to change it for the sake of putting the right players in, not just because you want to shoehorn in Whittaker because he had a decent game against Kilmarnock in a game that was 5-3. I don't know what the insistence is with playing him, especially when we're missing David Gray at right back. He's a right back. Play him at right back. If you're that insistent on playing Ambrose, get Ambrose in his correct position.
One more game left. I mean, you've already kind of touched on it there, Craig, about playing a lot of the youngsters and stuff like that. I mean, maybe that is the option to make the last game of the season a bit more interesting, but knowing Lennon, he'll probably think he can win the 6-0 because that's Lennon.
So to be honest, so he should. Do you know what I mean? But it's not as if it's not impossible. Who would have thought? I know, and I'm not comparing us to Barcelona or Roma or anything, but who would have thought that Barcelona 4-1 up after the first leg in the Champions League would still go out?
True, very true.
Who thought Liverpool, after winning 5-2 at Anfield, who thought Liverpool would have been hanging on, trying to get to go through to the final? Football is a weird game at times, and we shouldn't write it off just because we've had a terrible night. We've went for the high, Aberdeen getting the result that we kind of wanted on Tuesday, to being totally deflated on the Wednesday, but that's only because of who we've lost against. If that had been Kilmarnock or Aberdeen or Celtic, the reaction wouldn't be anywhere near as severe as what it actually has been.
So, like we say, Sunday is obviously the Rangers game. It's, was it a 12 o'clock kickoff or 12:15?
12:15, I think.
Right, 12:15 kickoff. So just before we get into the ins and outs of the Rangers games and all that sort of stuff and their form and all that, I just quickly like to sort of this is getting shared out about all of our social media and stuff, but raise awareness for the 49th minute. An minute's applause for Mickey Neary. It was a central taxi driver in Edinburgh who unfortunately passed away. So if everyone could join in on that'd be great. But so kicking on with the football. Last 5 games since the split, Rangers have won, then lost obviously that big 5-0 defeat to Celtic, and then back-to-back wins, and then a 1-1 draw. Murray, do you think there's been a slight upturn or change in attitude since they've announced Steven Gerrard as the manager? I know it's only been 2 games, but
I don't think it's been an upturn in fortunes, and to be honest, I think the squad that Rangers do have now, I was watching the game there against Aberdeen on Tuesday, and there were so many things that were happening in that game that's hampered Rangers' season. That Tavernier, for me, is not a defender. He's pretty decent going forward, it has to be said, but he's not a defender. Andy Halliday, we all ken about him. He's not really a great player. That Morelos couldn't hit a barn door, to be honest. And to me, there's just so many things that have happened in that game that have typified their season. But the announcement of Steven Gerrard has not had any change. I mean, you would have thought, I mean, from our point of view, you know, you would have surely thought that something like that would have picked players up, would have said to the fans, you know, we mean business. It's not been like that. For me, if he had been in the dugout for the last 3 games, my attitude and my opinion would be completely different. Because again, that's showing, well, hang on a minute, look at who we've got as our manager, look who's on the sidelines supporting us, look who set us up, a legend of the game. You're not getting that for Jimmy Nicol and Jonathan Johansson. You're not getting it for me. You're not getting anything for them on the sidelines as well. I actually was watching the game, and there was a moment in the game where it panned over to Jimmy Nicol, and he's actually telling them, just long ball all the time. I'm like, you can't do that. You can't play long ball football. I'm a big believer that you can't play long ball football,
especially against Aberdeen, which is frustrating. What we've done, we've kind of not really done an Aberdeen review because it was that boring.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact we kept on playing long balls up towards probably the 2 tallest centre backs in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So Rangers doing that as well, it was absolutely crazy. So Craig, I mean, you mentioned, you know, like Roma and the comeback they had. So let's take inspiration from that and think we're going to win 6-0. What's the best way to achieve it? If we all sort of think about it, talking about obviously like they've got a few issues at left back, and even Halliday might not be fit to play left back because who's been filling in there. Tavernier, you've said, can't defend. So if we are going to somehow pull off this miraculous 6-0 win, how do we do it?
Get in their faces straight for kick-off, pure and simple. Get a goal as early as we can and don't let up. You know, we need to be right at them for the start. Do what we've done against Celtic. You know, we didn't let Celtic settle. I know that Rangers are going to be, well, obviously they're missing Dorrans because he's injured. They're missing Morelos. They're missing that McCrory as well, who I actually think is quite a decent player. So, you know, they're not going to be anywhere near full strength. So we need to capitalise on that. We need to get Boyle, whoever is playing at Boyle's injured, sorry. We need to get Barker, whoever's playing at left back or right back if Barker starts, just have him running at him. Just run him and run him. That's the ball for me every single time. Get McLaren back in the side to work the 2 centre-halves. That Russell Martin's been absolutely honking for them.
He's been honking for years, never made anything else.
Aye. Well, get McLaren making a nuisance of himself at him. You know, let the midfield just play football. That's the one thing that we never done last night. Just play football. Then they resort to what they're wanting to do. Just focus on our own game, and that's how we'll get a win. I still think we'll win on Sunday. It's just, you know, I mean, looking for 6 goals is such a tall order.
Oh, I mean, it's never going to happen, but we can just sort of fantasy chat about it and stuff and see how we'd potentially do it. Dave, do you think, like Craig sort of saying there, you know, maybe moving Barker out to the right and exposing that weakness down the left hand side now that Boyle's out?
Well, if Halliday's playing left back, I would definitely do that. If not, I would just keep Barker out on the left and I don't even know, Swanson. Maybe give Swanson a chance to run at somebody.
Nice.
You just need to go at them. Like I don't think it's going to happen. But if we go at them, score an early goal, say if we're a couple up at half time, then I'll start to get a wee bit buzzing. But it's the energy's kind of been drained out the game a wee bit. But it's up to Lennon to get the players up for it and that. But he needs to get in a better frame of mind than what he's talking to now, because that'll not inspire anybody.
No,
that'll not inspire the team to be like, alright, I need to go 1-6 now, unless he puts the fear in them. Like, I only imagine what he was like in that changing room last night.
I know. So I mean, looking at Rangers, what's their danger men? Who do we need to keep an eye on?
Honestly, I think they're I know it's weird because they're above us in the league, and I just don't think they're that good. And McCrory's a decent player, but he's suspended. I quite like that Sean Goss.
He's been alright. What about Windass? I mean, he's kind of tailed off the last few weeks, but you just hit him hard early, and he just kind of fades out of games. He has a good 10 minutes, and like Rangers fans will tell you, then that's about it. But Craig, anyone you think we need to keep an eye on?
I actually think Windass is a decent player, to be honest. He's just one of these players who either has a 9 out of 10 game or he has a 5 out of 10 game. I know Morelos has had a lot of flack this season, but he's been, I think he's scored a couple of goals against us. But no, I agree with, I agree. I think Rangers are and I can't see with them who they've got that can potentially trouble us. I think the balls in for the wide area will be a danger. That Candias has had a pretty decent season for them. But apart from that, if they've got, because if Morelos is suspended, the only real option they've got up front is Cummins. And I don't rate Cummins as a football player at all. He's good in the box, but as an actual football player, he's very, very limited. And, McGregor, Hanlon, Ambrose will all know how to deal with him because he's not got much in his locker other than being a bit of a poacher. So, there's, apart from probably Candias and Windass, there's not really anybody else I can think of, to be honest.
Murray, what do you think Cummins' reception is going to be like?
Well, I wouldn't like to be him, put it that way. To be honest, I've heard a lot of people saying, "Oh, that's it," got to boo him and everything like that, and they're rightly so to do that. Myself personally, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to sit and watch a game. I mean, I think the guy he's a good player. The fact that he's a goal scorer. He doesn't have to have a lot in the locker. He's a goal scorer. He's a poacher, whatever you want to call him. The guy knows how to score goals. Yes, I agree that Hanlon, Stevenson, Effie, they're all going to know how to deal with him because of ex-teammates and everything like that. So they're going to know how to deal with him. But
is he not then going to know how to deal with him?
But that's on the flip
with
side
him,
of the coin.
or is that giving him too much credit? Because I mean, we've spoke a lot about McLaren's intelligence and his runs and how playing with like Canberry can make space for Canberry and stuff. Cummins never seemed to have that. Cummins never seemed to have that. He just seemed to, let the other striker, whoever it was, like Holt or whoever, do the hard work, and he would be the portrait score the goals.
He can't put up top of himself. I think he just gets lost. He's like a man done.
Yeah.
And I think
Can he take on a man as well?
No, I think Craig's right. He's a goal scorer, and if you've got 9 other outfield players that are working their socks off you, and you can get away with having him, he has a bit of luxury. He'll put the ball in the back of the net, but the Rangers have not got 9 other quality outfield players, so he does stand out as being poor.
So, second last thing before we go then, score predictions. Craig, starting with yourself.
I'll go 6-0.
He was good.
I think I'll be 2-1.
2-1. Dave?
Yeah, I think we'll beat them 2-0.
Murray?
I'll say 3-0.
3-0.
That's the annoying thing. I'm really confident. Like, say if we just didn't get a point, I'd be like, well, I'm really, really, really confident about Sunday.
Aye.
Which is shite. Because
it is shite the fact that it seems to be misplaced now. We all had that confidence going into the last 2 games that if we could get at least a point off the Hearts, we'd go into the game against Rangers all guns blazing. I mean, I think we're still going to do that. I think we're still going to go in all guns blazing, but it just doesn't seem to have the same feel as what it did before.
Hopefully the fans in that can get up for it, because we need to all remember it's the last day and they're going to get their send-off for the season, and they have put in a hell of a lot, even though they have let us down the last performance, and they can see that. Like, in fact, you seen Stevenson last night apologising. He put his hand up to the fans as if to say sorry and that, but so hopefully everybody can just get behind it, and then we can do what we can to get the 6-0. Not going to happen, but then we just give them a decent send-off.
Hopefully. And then we're going to finish 4th, so then we're looking to the Scottish Cup final and hoping that Celtic win the treble, and then we get Europe. So, sorry Motherwell.
Everybody says that we always support Celtic anyway, but this time we've actually got a reason to.
Just to finish up, just like to say, since 1875 we've obviously been raising money for their display for the final game of the season. They've been asking on the forums about help, so just to say, they've just been putting up that 8 AM to 9 AM on Sunday they require a bit of support to help set up the display. They're meeting outside the club shop at 8 AM, and we're hopefully done within an hour. If anyone can get along, it'd be much appreciated, and there'll be no heavy lifting involved. So if you can get along to that nice and early Sunday morning, that'd be great to help out with that display. I know they'd appreciate it. Okay, so that's us for the day. So thanks for phoning in, Craig.
No worries, mate. Thanks for having me.
Right, thanks, Money,
Thank you.
and thanks, Dave.
No worries.
Cheers, folks. Hope you enjoyed the video, folks. Click on my face to subscribe, click here to check out Money's channel, and click here roughly for the last podcast. Thanks again.